We saw The Force Awakens.
Don't be loud because people are sleeping.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Well, you have to do the spoiler-free version first.
That Force totally awakened you.
I got in as a student because I used my student card.
Yeah.
So I paid like £1.50 less.
I went into this film being a serious unfan of JJ Abrams.
Like, you have no idea. Seriously, you guys should just not shut up.
Before he killed Star Trek,
oh my god,
my beloved Star Trek,
oh Jesus,
I wasn't a fan. Then he killed Star Trek, and I'm like, in Afghanistan, JJ is the worst slur you can call someone. But this, based on the trailers, I thought it looked like a Star Wars film, unlike the prequels. JJ did his best to turn Star Trek into Star Wars, as opposed to George Lucas, who tried to turn Star Wars into Star Trek with the prequels, and with equally disastrous results. And that's pretty much what we got here. It looks like the original ones. I don't think it's as good as any of the original ones. It's better than the prequel ones.
Well, I wanted to be entertained. As long as it didn't suck, I was going to be happy. And it did look like the original trilogy and art design-wise, and I actually really liked that. And I did not expect it to be better than the originals. I didn't expect to compare it to the originals because...
Oh, I did.
That's you. But here's the thing, though. Like, the originals came out, and it was a different time. And the me that watched The Force Awakens was so different than the me who watched Star Wars. I was a little teeny kid. I was born in the first week of 1980. So, like, my first exposure to A New Hope was on VHS.
Same.
And it was on the first the first VCR my parents owned. And this was not a sanctioned VHS copy. I don't know where we got it from. I know it wasn't taped off television because it would have had to have been shown in its entirety without commercials, and there were no commercials on it. But I watched this thing till the tracking wore out, so you couldn't even play the tape anymore. And you perceive different things differently in different times of your life. It's how nostalgia works. So I wasn't going into this thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be just as good, or oh, if it's not exactly, I'm going to compare it to, because you can't compare film technology, you can't compare, a lot of that kind of stuff. But I was impressed, and I felt really good about seeing it. I'm glad I saw it, and I think that it will hold a similar place with the original trilogy. Not the same place, obviously, because nothing could. But I disliked the prequels immensely, so I don't really even consider them part of Star Wars canon, but,
I'm not as...
Is that philosophical for you, babe?
I'm so turned on. It's,
Later, everybody.
By the way, the tilt is because the way that the bed is, and basically,
because you're too tall.
It's accentuated my height while it's sagging there for Omega, so this is to get us both in shot comfortably. I'm not as fond of A New Hope as most people. I much prefer Empire and, to a large extent, Jedi, although the Ewoks are indefensible.
Actually, that was a Jawas.
But I would put this better than the prequels and not as good as the originals.
Wow, okay. You know what I liked? I liked in the bit where, like, your man, the ace pilot, was, like, trying to pull off some Marvel-esque, like, witty dialogue, and Kylo Ren was just not having any of it. He's like, so, how's this work? You talk, do I talk? I mean, hey, I'm leading guy. No, on the ship, enough of you. We've had it with you. Get on the ship. So, spoiler-free things and stuff that you didn't like or you liked, and then we'll go on to...
I'm sort of going to pepper it with spoilers, so once we finish the spoiler stuff, then I'll...
we might as well. Okay, if you... Spoilers now... You have...
The chances are you've seen it already. We're seeing it later than most people.
So you're probably going to be like, oh, I wonder what Diamond and Omega thought about this. I have things to say.
I mean, Hagan has been threatening to go full Twatty Who on this. I was threatening on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Because I don't really think it was the level of Twatty Who, though.
Yeah, but I can turn on the anger.
Oh, why?
I really dislike JJ because what he did Star Trek.
Okay, but you have to separate the man from the creation.
So if Hitler directed Force Awakens,
you would have to separate the man from the creation. This is just what I fucking said. Also, Adolf Hitler is dead. Did you just Godwin the Backseat critique? Because I think
What
that
if
means...
Force Awakens was directed by Jerry?
Then he'd be a cocksucker. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we don't mean the film Renegado, obviously.
Yeah.
Who does not suck cocks. He sucks tacos. We know this is true.
Yes. But let's go on. Let's talk about spoiler stuff.
Okay, well, we nearly had a disagreement during the...
Yeah, we did.
Because, alright, so, comment in the comments, but I have a recollection, reading somewhere, that non-force sensitive people can't even turn on a lightsaber.
And say there's a button.
But I'm not sure. Well, obviously there's a button, but I'm not sure if that comes from the Star Wars D20 RPG setting, or if that comes from something in the EU. But I remember reading that somewhere, and comment in the comments if I'm...
This came up when Finn was using the lightsaber, because I don't think he's force sensitive. And she thinks he is because he switched on the lightsaber.
Well, but see, now if it was a rule in the RPG setting, then I really can't hold it up as canon.
We had this sort of little back and forth.
No, because when you create a lightsaber, I think like the part of it is choosing the crystal, but you have to channel the force through the crystal, and you know
it's plasma or something like it.
It's mystical as well.
No, it's a tool. It's technology.
Yes, but only Jedi can do it.
I said we had this argument.
Part of your Jedi training is you have to construct your own one.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, it's a useful skill to have. You don't have to, as far as I know.
It totally is, though. Guys, back me up on this one. It's part of.
Well, I suppose it's possibly part of tradition, but you don't need.
Traditionally, it is.
But okay, we had this little discussion in the cinema. You know, almost loud enough for people to yell at us. But on the way back up, I thought of the trump card here, where I'm going to prove. You know, although your argument is basically like unfalsifiable.
I think it's the way, but I can't remember if it was an RPG.
But
thing
if you want it to be absolutely terrible and illogical, your argument can't be disproven, because any character who then uses one, you can just say is force sensitive for whatever reason. That's the way that argument is. But trusting that you are not like that because I love you, I have the trump card.
What?
Han Solo used one in Empire Strikes Back. He turned it on and cut open the tauntaun.
That's true, he did. I forgot about that. But as per the EU, he and Leia did produce force-sensitive children.
Yeah, from Leia.
Yeah, but he could have a bit of it.
See? You see?
No, I forgot about that. But here's the thing, though. The you can only be force-sensitive to... You must be force-sensitive to use a lightsaber could have come in after...
Yeah, but in the context of the universe.
In the context of the universe.
Yeah.
Came in after Empire.
Anyone can use it.
Because we said, but it wasn't like this in A New Hope. Oh, wait, also, yeah.
Yeah, but you got to look at it as the work of the universe, which means you have to come up with an explanation. And the simplest explanation is you don't need to be force sensitive to use a lightsaber.
I could have sworn that I read somewhere that you had.
It might be, but with the films only, there is no evidence that that's the case, and there's evidence that it's not.
Well, I guess.
Plus, there's General Grievous.
Yeah, but didn't he have some organic parts though?
He was a cyborg, yes, but it was only like his chest part and part of his face that was left.
He had lousy lungs to cough with.
Yes.
That's like the cyborg part.
Yeah, but we have no evidence that he was force sensitive either.
Well, no, because see, when I ran a Star Wars D20 game, and I had 2 Jedi. I had a Master and a Padawan.
We dance like Jedi because we're Jedi.
Actually, it was really interesting. I had a girl playing a bisexual male slutty noble who would, like, whenever they got to a planet, would, like, go schmooze around with the nobles and get information for them. She was into yaoi. So, she would always, like, try to get with other men.
You'll be happy to know that Han and Chewie are still laser tag dominators.
Yeah. She's married to a guy in, like, real life. We're still Facebook friends. But yeah, so there was her. There was, one girl, Mina, who was, she was playing a smuggler/merchant. And then there was the one girl who was playing a human pilot. And then there was my Jedi and his Padawan. And it was very interesting because the girl who was playing the pilot was always like, I was like, all right, so you guys are preparing to leave orbit, go on and roll. And she's like, can I take 20 on this? And if you're not familiar with the D20 setting, basically it's you spend an hour preparing, but it's like you rolled a natural 20. And I was like, you can if you really want to, but let me remind you that you are a pilot. That is your class. your bonuses to this roll are over 30. So literally, if you rolled a 1, that would be the only way you would screw up leaving orbit and jumping to light speed. She's like, yeah, but I might roll a 1. I don't want to screw up. Fine, you can take 20. This was also the girl that, like, every time we went to a different cantina, she's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Like, everyone's off doing their thing and collecting information and trying to find the person. She's like, ooh, ooh, I want to know how many males are, or how many humans are in the cantina. Oh, I did, there's 7. How many are men? Oh, D4. Yeah, 3 of them are men. I flirt with each of them. Okay, great, you flirt with each of them. No, role play it with me.
She just wants to make out with you.
No, she didn't. And you know what?
What Mr. Qui-Gon, what are midichlorians? It's heroin.
Oh, another really fun thing.
You haven't seen the all not Star Wars ones, have you?
You should. You're gonna slap me for this.
They're really good.
So the plot that this was right after the prequels the Flash prequel movie came out. So the plot of this was that the Jedi High Council had sent the Jedi and his Padawan. He had collected the other players. He needed like a crew to get out there. Because they'd heard a rumor that there was one clone soldier who was Force sensitive, and he was on the run from the bad guys, and so they're like, all right, go get him, and that's why they escaped Order 66 and all this kind of stuff. I remembered what the NPC's name was. It was Finn.
Whenever you were leading into that latest tangent, I think you said the Flash prequel, so I got really confused.
Flash. No.
Max von Sydow was in this.
Aye.
It is nice of them to continue the tradition of having elderly, venerable actors in there and then killing them. Although, I kind of wish that...
The Empire! White and British with red, teary eyes.
Donald Bill Gleason was fine, but he's about...
I'm angry and white and ginger.
He's about 80 years too young to be playing a general of any fucking thing.
All of the... Okay, I'm gonna say this. All the white people in this film had really, really red, teary eyes. Like, they either filmed this in, like, the allergy capital of the world, or they had everyone fly the red eye into Dublin. Because just, like, everyone just kind of looked like, oh, General, my allergies and hay fever so bad. Like, just take a Sudafed, Jesus Christ, the Empire.
All of them were really young. There was no elderly people working for the First Order.
They were purged.
Possibly.
All of the useful people.
Yeah, I'm just thinking they should have done like a reference to Cushing and got like a modern horror guy to play him, like, Robert Englund or Tobin Bell or someone playing the general.
I don't know.
That would have been great. But okay.
I had a thought in the beginning that like people have described Star Wars as kind of space western. They've also described it as kind of space fantasy.
Space fantasy.
But I got a very different feel from this. I got a very medieval feel from this. And I'll tell you what it was. It was the image of the people on Jakka who were living in and scavenging from, like, the walkers and the down starfighters and stuff like that. And I got this flash image of this old painting. I think it was done. The painting might have been done in the Renaissance, recalling like people living in the shadow, in the ruins of a Roman aqueduct somewhere in Western Europe. And they're very slowly dismantling this aqueduct for its stone. And the idea that after the fall of Rome, you have these generations where people have this idea, because Rome held Western Europe together. And when Rome breaks down, things fall to barbarism, but you have this idea that there must have been some wonderful blinding light. In fact, this was what made one of the philosophers call the centuries after the fall of Rome the Dark Ages, because Rome was seen as this shining beacon of light, that this was the sum of all human potential, and something was there that we've lost now, and we can only barely understand its ruins. But it's only really been 30 years since then, so then it was kind of shattered, that image. But
yeah.
But then, like, in the beginning, when that village is attacked, it is kind of like, like Justinian's men coming in. They're trying to, because like you could compare the First Order to Byzantine Rome.
Yeah.
We will make the Mediterranean a Roman lake once more, and
Yeah, they said that the inspiration was if the Nazis who went to Argentina reformed the Fourth Reich, that was their idea.
The Empire always has had very Nazi-like imagery.
Oh yeah, but I can see the parallel.
It just struck me like this life of like living somewhere in some village, you're just fucking getting by. And all of a sudden, these people come in with fucking blaster rifles and TIE fighters and just wipe you off the face of the earth, you know?
I just wish
It's very much like, you know, trying to exist with warlords. I don't know, I was thinking about history.
I kind of wish that they had simplified the political situation as in this film. I was getting prequel flashbacks.
Oh yeah, the New Republic.
Sure,
it'll be grand.
Because you've got the first... Okay, the Empire collapsed, and then they reformed as the First Order over here. And then you've got... Over here, the New Republic, which came out of the rebellion, they took over some parts. But then you've got the Resistance, who is unofficially working for the Republic, who are basically so we can still claim we're rebels, even though we're not. So much simpler just to have the Empire. And okay, if you're the successor state to a big state, you're not going to change your name. You're going to claim you are the actual Empire continued. You are the Empire.
No, because that was the whole point. Because the Empire was evil, and we wanted to go back to the brilliant days of the Republic, which weren't
the First Order.
Anyway.
The First Order should call itself the Empire. The something Empire, like Byzantine Rome, didn't call themselves the Die Fledermaus. The Holy Roman Empire. Successor states, whether in actuality or they think they are, they like to reference the title of the other one.
I guess.
So they should be the something Empire.
Maybe it was because that was a First Order of something that
I don't know.
But some guy.
The Republic, what it should have been was the First Order called the Empire or the something Empire, something that references the Empire. And then the New Republic, or just the Republic, and have the Resistance just be their fucking military and have a Cold War situation opening the film.
I see that. We don't really know much about the New Republic except the fact that they get blown.
They were flammable.
They're flammable.
But, okay. Star Wars apparently has 3 main plots that it reuses, mixes them together, sometimes
and I knew
just
you were going to say this,
one.
and I have a defense for this.
Sometimes uses just one, sometimes uses all 3 of them, sometimes uses 2, but, you know, across the 7 films, it is getting tiresome. You got the 3 main plots. You got Galactic Civil War.
Stop shouting, people.
You've got random political shit that no one cares about or understands. And you've got building a giant fucking weapon. That's it! Do something different. That's the one good thing about the prequels and Duel of the Fates.
Are you done yet?
Don't build another fucking Death Star just bigger and prettier with trees on it.
It was pretty cool. It was all fucking planets.
It was the Sun Crusher from the Extended Universe renamed. Turned into Starkiller Base because we got to reference the fact that Luke Skywalker was originally called Luke Starkiller.
Yeah, that's true.
In the script. Yeah, see, references. It's a...
Do
something different.
There's lots of wee little plot or prop references I like.
Much more logical thing, because why not just have it that they got new Star Destroyer type things, which each have the destructive capability of the Death Star. That's a more logical extension of the technology.
I liked the big planet idea.
Yeah, but having one massive super weapon rather than having smaller super weapons, each of them can destroy a planet in a shot.
Because that's the tragic hubris of the Empire. They think too big and they're easily exploited. They don't learn the lessons of the past. That all things that are so massively huge that they seem that they're insurmountable, they can all be taken down by
in the exact same way.
I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I think that there was also a similarity to New Hope in plot wise as well. Because,
everything.
Listen, because it's also to bring in a new generation.
You didn't need to. You didn't.
But think about this. Think about what I said about history and how it struck me as being very medieval. And medieval stuff happens in dynasties. And it's like, what is the chance that... Well, first of all, people be like, what's the chance that everybody's fucking related and each other's kids? Well, if you have the Force binding you and pulling strings and things and stuff...
Yeah, the Force is basically God.
Basically fate, really. You know, like, you're fated to do blah and things will happen. But, like, that's how these stories fold out in history. And then it was so-and-so's son that took his father's military and slew so-and-so, but then his own son slew him, and then he went off and conquered so-and-so, and of course they invaded France.
Well, yeah, but with this one, you've got a person living, a dreamer living on a desert planet who is Force-sensitive. You've got...
She's not really a dreamer.
She was looking up at the stars and stuff and being all, when are my family coming back?
Oh, crap. You look up at the stars once, it doesn't make you a dreamer.
She did it in the film, which makes it significant. Because it's a loss of cinema. You see, one of her opening shots is her looking up at the stars wistfully. She's a fucking dreamer.
She's probably thinking, I gotta pee. But
that is cinema code.
That could be Sandor.
That is cinema code for she's a dreamer.
I
You've got all
no,
that.
Because she spends the whole movie being like, can I go back to my planet now?
Yeah,
No.
she wants to go back to the planet, but she doesn't really want to.
Oh, Jesus.
She's scared of the greater universe. But you've got the you got the sort of information held by a cute little robot who's on the fucking desert planet.
I like that little guy. He's great. I like
You've
that
got-
he's going to be like friends.
You got a guy, you got the older person, they meet up with an older guy who helps them out, who ends up,
Like-
spoilers, getting killed.
For like a hot second, though.
You've got then,
They didn't become... Well, you mean Han or...
Han.
Oh, I thought you meant
you got Han,
your man at the beginning. He's
and-
like, I died.
and then you've got, and Rey was holding someone's hand when she was left on the planet. Someone was looking over after her. It was probably, I don't
think
know
it was
who.
that big alien. 'Cause
Could
he's like,
be.
come on, you.
Could be. But you've also got a guy in black using an evil red lightsaber who is
He's so
familially
bad.
related to someone else who's important to the
So
plot.
bad.
Instead of father, it's son. This is a remixing
Because
of A New Hope with
it's-
bits of Empire.
Because it's dynastic in nature.
No, it's taking elements from the other Star Wars films and
Exactly.
jamming them
But
together.
it's
a greatest hits album.
I think it makes sense, and I think that you're overreacting.
It's a greatest hits album.
Because it's dynastic in nature.
You've
You
got the
that-
little alien who knows a lot of stuff and has been around for 1,000 years.
She was kind of a wee bit of a magical alien.
She's basically Yoda, but not a Jedi.
She reminded me of the little costume designer from The Incredibles.
Possibly, yes.
And she did.
You've also got
In her
the
inner design.
you got, what do you call her? Rey at the end goes off to meet up with the last remaining great Jedi in order to be trained, and the person's living,
you to come find
the person's in exile by himself in a very damp climate.
off the coast of Ireland.
It's like,
No, really, that's where it was filmed.
Luke Skywalker is now Yoda.
And apparently, like, basically, my roommate's friends were telling me this, that, like, the Irish Navy, it was, like, out in boats because everyone took their boat out and was renting their boat out to go and see it. Like, lads, no, clear out. No, I went to see Luke Skywalker. No, not clear. And apparently the 501st, the actual stormtrooper regiment, the ones that provide, they provide security for conventions and do all sorts of charities. They took their boat out there, and the Coast Guard was like, no. No, but we're stormtroopers. No. It will not be grand.
The prequels weren't very good, but at least they tried to do something different. And rewatch the Red Letter Media's reviews of the prequels, because they point out mockingly.
I've only seen each of the prequel movies once, and that's really insulting.
He mockingly brings
There's
up the
so
fact,
much sand on the beach. I hate sand. I think I'm gonna slaughter a race now.
basically. But in this review, they bring up this footage of George Lucas, and they bring this up in a really mocking way. George Lucas saying it's like poetry; it rhymes, which is showing while the bits from the original trilogy appear in the prequels. And it's like JJ Abrams took this mocking thing that they did involving this line by Lucas, and he took it seriously.
I think that you're reading too much into it. I see it as an homage. I see it as a building on of this kind of dynastic idea. I think it was a perfect inheritor, actually.
Star Wars is the ever-living sacrifice.
What
The
are you
everlasting
talking about?
sacrifice. It's a Cardassian novel mentioned in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, Jesus.
Where it's Cardassian. No, sorry. Star Wars is a Cardassian book novel. Cardassian in this book is used as an example. But
I've no idea what she's on about.
one of the greatest bits in Deep Space Nine was cultural discussions between Dr. Bashir and Garrick
Yeah, I
about
kinda-
comparing human and Cardassian culture.
That part kind of bored me.
Well, I loved it because it was world building.
course you did.
But Cardassian culture, their idea of a great novel, was that, as Dr. Bashir put it, you have successive generations of the same same family, who each of them just grows up, does their duty to the state, and dies, and then it's the next generation. So they do the same thing over and over again, and he found it very repetitive and boring. There was no difference. It was just the same thing done again and again. Star Wars is a Cardassian novel.
I don't think that that's
And then Garrick was like, Garrick read Julius Caesar, and he was like, I could tell that Brutus was plotting to kill Caesar before the end of the 7th page. And then Bashir was like, yes, but that's why it's a tragedy. He couldn't believe his friend would murder him. And then Garrick was like, well, no, not a tragedy, a farce. Because Cardassians are like that. It was wonderful world building. But yes, Cardassian novel. See, JJ, I'm using Star Trek to power my dislike.
He's not watching this. And
I
here
know.
JJ Abrams write the show. But no, I thought it was good. I thought the art design made it look very like 1970s sci-fi, and I appreciated that. You know,
C-3PO looked like he was made of plastic, although admittedly probably was all the time.
He didn't look very good. He sounded very different. Like, I thought it was someone doing a C-3PO impression, but apparently it was.
No, everyone who came back, I believe, was played by the original person. I gotta say, Chewbacca, he was kicking ass.
Yeah. Well, he's like totally hardcore. Like, Wookiees, they're like a real badass race. They'll fuck your shit up. They live up trees, man.
No, I know that. But
arboreal in nature.
Seeing Han Solo being old, probably...
He kind of reminds me a bit of my Uncle Phil, you guys.
Seeing him
so
old...
I don't want my Uncle Phil to die. I mean, spoilers, I'm just saying.
I don't see Han Solo. I see Harrison Ford.
That's your problem.
Possibly because, you know, he only ever played the part when he was much younger, and I only started seeing Harrison Ford films afterwards.
Now.
Yes, I know, but I've seen old Harrison Ford and stuff, so it doesn't strike me as him.
Again,
I haven't seen Carrie Fisher in much stuff recently, so therefore she's more believable as old Leia, but, you know, she's done a lot of cocaine and hasn't acted much, so it's like, oh,
leave her alone. She's had a hard life.
I think she spent 12 years in the Sarlacc pit, personally.
No, she's had a very hard... She struggled with, like, addictions of all sorts.
Oh, I know.
She wrote a novel, or a bio about it.
Oh, I know. And this is why her performance as Leia is so... I don't want to say broken, but it's not very good.
Well, she looks old and tired.
Yeah. And that's why in character I think Leia was, you know, eaten by the Sarlacc pit. And I'm worried about Hamill, but Hamill, he's been doing vocal stuff, so his voice should be fine. But he hasn't done much live action acting in a long time. Neither does he.
Well, there you go.
He was told to grow it, and he doesn't like it.
Like, I don't want my beard. Do you know what she did? This guy's a spoiler. So like, there's like the windswept island, and you know half the people in the audience were like, oh, I've been there. It's quite a hike up there. And like he's like whirling around, and then in this figure, and she goes, "What did you do?"
I sort of leaned over and went, "Oh, Harley, I've been waiting ages for you." In my worst impersonation.
No.
And it looks like, I don't know what direction he was given, but Hamill looked like he was confused by the existence of non-green in front of him because, you know, Rey not green at all. So he's like, holy shit! I forgot colours existed.
He also looked like he'd taken the red eye into Dublin. And then taken the bus up the coast.
We haven't discussed Kylo Ren and his emo-ness.
Oh my god, worst Sith ever. Oh my, he's so bad. Like, never take that mask. I know why you wear the mask. It's your big fucking nose. But like, no, this was just like everyone's 15-year-old little brother or like weird cousin or something. And I'm like, you're the new Sith Lord?
It is a really weird choice, but I came to the conclusion that this is the writers... JJ Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back. This is their parody of Anakin from the prequels.
I hope so. Because I just could not take him seriously as a bad guy. I'm sorry.
In various things you've seen...
Like, he looks like the kind of kid I'd be like, hey, quit carrying on. Get out, you're banned from the shop. Get out of here.
We've seen various films. You've seen various types of evil, like watch Brazil, and you can see a wonderful study in the banality of evil, which is just evil in its banaliness. That's Michael Palin's character in there. But this one's something totally different. This is just the pathetic emo-ness of evil.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be like Darth Vader. It reminds me of like, you know, like a loner kid that nobody likes. But instead of getting into D&D, you know, and like Legend of Zelda.
Or getting into school shootings.
Like everyone else, like he gets into neo-Nazism. Or, like, some other kind of radical thing, you know, and, like, it's not good, kid. It's like, we'll be like Darth Vader. I'm like, okay.
Honestly, if he was around today, he'd probably on Reddit.
Yeah.
A couple of, you know, he'd be on some really...
like, there's good forums on...
Yeah, he'd be on one of the horrible ones. He'd probably be a Channer as well. He's that sort of just...
Our Gallifrey has, like, a lot of, like, good discussions. So does Dragon Age. And Theda's lore. If you like Dragon Age but want to talk just about the lore of Theda's, join our Theda's lore. We talk a lot.
Kylo Ren is not so mythic. Most of Star Wars is based on myth and stuff.
Bitchy.
He's modern.
He's like, I'm the Dark Lord. It's gonna be grand. You guys do what I say. And then the general's like, you fuck up so much. We don't have to do what you say, you little pissant. And then he's like, oh, Dark Leader. He fucked up. No, I didn't fuck up. Yes, you did. You fucked up. Shut up.
Yeah, he's the sort of...
So
he's the sort
embarrassing.
of thing...
I'm so much a knight that my lightsaber has a handle.
They changed the fucking sound of the lightsaber when it was first switched on, but then it went normal afterwards. I think it's because it hadn't been used in a while. But with Kylo, it's the sort of evil that they wouldn't have done in an earlier one, because we never really came across...
The whiny, spotty-faced face of evil.
Because the internet basically proved that that exists. But previously...
He's not even evil. He's just, like, so, like, evil but missing the point. He's, like, memeable evil.
Yeah. It's the sort of one that we didn't come across in everyday life before the internet.
You know, like Darth Gollum up there.
Oh, yes. No, this is the biggest technological advance between the original trilogy and this, apparently, is that holograms now come in color, and they make you look like really bad CGI. It's like, Jesus Christ, that is the worst CGI mocap character Andy Serkis has played, possibly ever.
Andy Serkis is the only person allowed to do mocap ever.
I'm like, oh. The guy played Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four. He did a decent job in Planet of the Apes.
I'm just making fun. I've like how Seamus Haney's the only poet. Andy Serkis is the only person that can ever do mocap ever.
Oh.
Even if you're a girl.
Even Billy Connolly?
Yep, has to be Andy Serkis.
Okay.
It was Andy Serkis in disguise.
Snoke looked like shit, and I really hope he's plagiarised.
I, like, when that happened, when you saw the first time you saw him, I'm like, what kind of creature is so monstrous? We've never seen it raced like that. Oh, wait, it's over the HoloLink. Like, it looked really, like, kind of almost like Lex-ish and Divine Shadow-ish with kind of like the primordial, you know, kind of
primordial
fantasy.
Fuzziness of bad CGI that might just be a hologram.
The size
I don't know.
and the scale. I thought they were actually in the throne room of some huge creature, and I was like, ooh.
According to Andy Serkis, the character's about 7 foot tall.
Still, that ain't bad.
They could have just made him look like a regular Star Wars hologram, and the effect would have looked much better.
Well,
would have been much harder to tell it was shit CGI.
I want a pet droid that will follow me around and do tricks.
Lucas really should have not had R2-D2 and C-3PO in the prequels. He should have just created another type of droid to be fun.
Yeah.
Like this one.
I don't know why. I think. Well, but here's the. I was thinking then, why did, like, R2-D2 just suddenly wake up and be like, I've got the next part of the plot?
Because the script said so.
No, then I realized Luke did it remotely.
How?
With the Force. Duh.
Well, he couldn't use the Force to help Han. Help Han?
He probably didn't know about him. He probably, like, he sensed the awakening in What's-Her-Face, and he was like, alright, R2, it's time. If she is really worthy, you will find her, and you will lead her to me.
You're reaching, honey. Look, you see? This is my dramatization. You're reaching.
No, I think that, comment, you know. I think
that I'm right.
No, I think that that's what we'll find out. You know, that, like, he hid away, but he knew that he couldn't hide from the Force forever, so he knew that there would be a time when his potential child probably would come seek him out, or, you know, so. It
was nice to see Max von Sydow on screen again.
Yeah.
He's the sort of guy, what you need is him about 20 years ago to play Dr. Doom in a proper MCU Fantastic Four film. Or just in the MCU. So at a decent, venerable age. He's too old now, and he was actually my choice to play Magneto whenever the X-Men film was first announced.
Well, I mean, even besides your bitching, I liked it. I was pleased. There was a lot of homages to stuff that I appreciate. And you have to understand, like I said, I spent ages, like, literally maybe from 3.5 to 6 wanting to be a Jedi Knight when I grew up. I had all the Fisher-Price record, you know, book and record sets. When you hear R2-D2 say, turn the page. Like, I had as many toys as I could get my hand on. Like, to this day, this is one of the, like, traumatic events in my life that we have a Pollyanna. Well, we used to among all the cousins and the aunts and uncles. And my cousin Philip, who is now, a doctor, a real, like, doctor in a hospital somewhere. Well, in New York City, he got the entire Star Wars figure set in the carrying case that was Darth Vader's head, and his brother, my cousin Danny, got this ray gun that lit up and made 17 different noises. Do you know what I got that year? I got a little baby doll that drank from a bottle and pissed itself. And it did not take me long to figure out that you could feed the baby the entirety of the bottle and squeeze the baby's midsection to make it into a ray gun. Well, a water gun, really. But I have never like, gotten over that moment of, like, but this is for girls. Star Wars. Like,
These Star Wars things are probably worth more than your tuition.
I don't even know if he still has them anymore, but...
If they're especially the box, minting in the mid-condition, the full thing, you could pay for your university on that.
Don't tell me things like that. It just makes me depressed. But I fucking baby wets a lot. Ugh. Like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, I'm not, like, going all feminist here, but, like, you know, give your kids ray guns for Christ's sake. I mean,
feminists are generally in favor of that.
Yeah, I don't want to be, like, all weird about it. I want to be like, no, gender-neutral toys are the only way. Make everything gray and, you know,
No, the point of the gender-neutral toy thing is that let girls use ray guns if they want and let boys use dolls if they want.
Yeah, like...
That's generally what feminists are for.
I want a ray gun. If you want to send me a ray gun, I'll give you my address. You can send me a ray gun. Yeah, but, like, I was very, very, very into Star Wars when I was little. Like we had... This was my parents' fish phase. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in the 80s, a lot of adults went through fish phases where they're like, we'll have a saltwater tank or a freshwater tank. We'll have lots of fish and sure it'll be good. It was never good. All of our fish were named after characters from Peanuts or from Star Wars. I had a little catfish named Darth Vader. He ate the algae off the tank. I had rainbow tetras named Luke and Leia, and they died after a week. Yeah, that's how it goes. But so Star Wars means a lot to me, and when the prequels came out, I had pneumonia, and I still went to go. I was told not to go out to see it with my friends, but I did anyway, and I got in trouble for it. But they were such a letdown. I was like, it wasn't very good.
You really should watch Belated Media's What If the Prequels Were Good.
Alright, I'll get around to it.
It's about half an hour long, and he completely reconstructs the storyline from the pieces that George Lucas gave and improves them, and it makes more sense in context. It's good.
This really made me feel good. It really made me feel excited. The music was good. I know some people have been saying it wasn't exactly what they wanted and whinging about it.
The music was fine. It sounded like a Star Wars film. It just was missing any of the,
John Williams is in his 80s, for Christ's sake. The man is a national treasure.
It was just missing any of the earth-shatteringly brilliant tracks like Duel of the Fates or the Imperial March. It didn't have anything amazingly good, but it was good.
Alright, yeah.
It was generally good. So it was on a par with like A New Hope or something like that. Well, Empire had the Imperial March, I believe, and then, Duel of the Fates is probably the best bit of music ever done in Star Wars.
Although, I have to say...
music is way too good for that film.
Okay. Like, the spoiler bits, obviously, Han dies, but I really wasn't surprised by that as much as I thought that I would be, because when Kylo Ren's like, I know what I need to do, but I need you to help me, I'm like, oh, he's gonna have him lean in, and then he's gonna activate his lightsaber and impale him. Yep, there, that happened.
I don't see why Kylo Ren's name was Ben, because Ben was the name that Luke grew up knowing Obi-Wan by, so he has an emotional connection to it, while Han or Leia didn't, unless Luke was like, well, you got a boy, how about Ben? That's a good name. How do you feel about that, Obi-Wan? Is that a good choice?
They had twins. They had Force-sensitive twins who received Jedi training in the books.
Jaden and Jason.
I think that they're merging the twins into one character for this. It could have been as a favor to Luke.
Well, or he just suggested. I mean, like, I suggested my brother name one of his kids Odin, and he did.
He went with it.
It was a joke.
But yeah, I wasn't as surprised by it. I'm like, just shoot the prick, shoot him in the head with your magical
bowcaster
thingy.
Bowcaster was just as powerful as a regular blaster in the previous ones. I can only guess he got an upgrade.
Yeah.
Did you notice the Asian guy who was on the ship that boarded the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
Who got eaten by the monster?
Yeah.
That guy, I'm pretty sure he was in the Raid, and the Raid 2.
Okay.
He was like one of the martial artists, and that is like, oh,
good job, man. You're moving
excellent.
Up in the world. And apparently, like, anybody famous called their agent to call up JJ Abrams and be like, please, I want to be in Star Wars. You don't have to credit me. Because apparently both Simon Pegg and Daniel Craig were involved.
Yeah, there was a composer and some guy who works with Radiohead was in it too. Playing Stormtroopers.
I play a Stormtrooper. I think that was cool. It's like you never really stop to think about. And I wonder if him being a sanitation worker was a nod to, like, there was some series, I think it was on Something Awful or it was on Cracked, I can't remember. That was the adventures of a sanitation worker, and there was some of them that were in Star Trek, and there was some of them in the Star Wars universe.
No idea.
But I can't remember now. I don't know, I always wondered if it was a nod to that. which is the idea that, like, you know, the rank and file grunts or somebody behind those.
I want to see Captain Phasma kick people's asses.
Yeah, like, she has her own, you know, figure and everything, and she didn't really do much. I thought her character...
She just has to be awesome and wear chrome, and that's about it.
I just thought that her character would do more.
Yeah, but she survived, so she'll be in a sequel.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all that I can think of to say right now.
Do you notice there was a female stormtrooper? Just regular?
Yeah.
It wasn't Phasma. That, you know, the people who were really upset about, you know, the black guy being a stormtrooper, because they're all supposed to be Tamora Morrison, this is making the same...
No, because these weren't. He was like, we need to bring in the clone troops. No, my troops are as good as clone
There were
troops.
people complaining about this when the trailer happened. They lost their shit. And just imagine, oh no, there's a woman who's a stormtrooper. Like, these guys, their heads will explode.
Well, the thing is that I think some of the stormtroopers, even in the original trilogy, I don't think they were all clones.
They were just conscripts.
You could never even have them any, because they're in a lot of the books I was talking about, you know, the one set before the original trilogy. They were always talking about, oh, you know, we'll get into the Imperial Academy and stuff like that. And...
Yeah, that's one of the plot points. Biggs went in for it, Luke wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And even if you watch A New Hope, you have bits where stormtroopers are talking to each other, and they're just like regular working Joes.
Wow,
but then, of course, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that in one of the special editions, Lucas went back and he redubbed all the stormtroopers, or some of the stormtroopers, with Tamara Morrison's voice. I think he did. Which is just stupid. Of course, by the time
with the size of the Empire, though, you couldn't breed the clones that fast. You would need local conscripts, and the thing is, the benefit of local conscripts over clone troopers is they're already there. They've already grown. They know the area. They know the languages.
Well, the Roman Empire would do that, but they would send people away from their local area so that they couldn't foment rebellion with their new abilities, new skills. But like someone came up with this idea that in the time of A New Hope and all, the original clone troopers, the ones who are left, are high up sort of stormtroopers, like officer stormtroopers, but not, you know, who still wear masks, or they're the Red Guard working for the Emperor.
That's a good point.
Because they, you know, so experienced.
They're so loyal and stuff. But yeah, so we should probably wrap it up. I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. I'll get it on DVD. And
I didn't notice it, but I read that there were 2 separate voices for Obi-Wan Ben Larry Kenobi, who now goes by Steve. You really need to watch the Oral Knots versions of Star Wars.
No, I don't care. I have so much to do in my life. You want me to watch every single
Obi-Wan Ben Larry Kenobi. Actually, I go by Steve now. Steve Kenobi.
I'm cold.
Damn it, Steve. I've had enough of you.
But yeah, so I thought it was good. Go see it. You probably already have.
So apparently Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness's voice are both in it during the whole she touches a lightsaber and she sees visions shit. Apparently, but I didn't notice it. There was also a rumor that Liam Neeson might have recorded a line for that as well.
That's kind of cool.
And apparently in episode 8, Hayden Christensen's coming back.
Oh.
So he's going to be all like, I'm your grandfather! And he's like, I know that. And you go,
why do you look like a different actor than you died as?
Why did you change nationality? Because Darth Vader with his helmet off
is so white.
Is English. It was Sebastian Shaw, an English actor, played him. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe the ventilator gave him a British accent.
But the ventilator part was off. That was the James Earl Jones voice.
No, because slowly over time his vocal cords atrophied into all he could matter was a British voice.
He was surrounded by a lot of English people in the Empire.
Yeah. He just picked it up. Like all
a lot of nationalities vanished during the Clone Wars.
Yes. Everyone becomes white in English. So that's what we thought about that. Bye. May the Force be with you always. Okay.
Honey. I love you.
I know. Aww. Do.